Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. It's time for us to recap everything that happened in week 12 on Draftkings for NFL DFS. If you guys are not used to this video, if you're not, some of it was off of YouTube for a few weeks because I was trying to figure out how to not have my videos cannibalize each other. I found a way to republish this on YouTube. It's not going to come out on Mondays anymore. It's now going to be a Tuesday video. I'm going to push out all the first look videos on Monday as well as the Monday Night Football, and I can't really crowd the channel on Monday. We do record this live on Monday mornings on my Twitch channel. There's a link for that down below in the description if you want to come join, if you don't want to wait for Tuesdays for this recap video. We do record it live every single Monday, and I'd love to get to know you, so come by Twitch and stop by. It's much easier for me to get to know you with the chat there, as I spend more time than just recording these videos. We banter back and forth and everything else, but this video, we look at everything that I talked about last week. We go through my best buys column and go player for player and see what I got right, what I got wrong, where I was correct in my process, where the process was incorrect, where we got lucky, where we got unlucky, sorting just up and down the list with that. I go over my lineup from the 4-man contest for the Daily Fantasy Edge, and we look at what I put together and where it came from Best Buys and what my thinking was for that. We also look at the results of the head-to-head challenge, the cage match from the previous week. I will have all the results for all of those things for you guys throughout this video. So thank you for joining us once again. Drop a like on this video. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and ring that notifications bell so that you can get notified anytime I come out with new content here on YouTube, because during NFL season, there sure is a ton of it, and I don't want you to miss any. So let's get right to Best Buys, and let's look at what we had last week. Here's Best Buys for week 12. We were all duped by the Atlanta Falcons. They are very inconsistent, up and down with the way that they do things, both offensively and defensively. They looked great defensively for a couple of weeks, and they were kind of back to what they were before. Matt Ryan threw the ball 46 times, only completed 23 of his passes for 271 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 turnovers, 9.6 DraftKings points. This is a miss for me. I'll take it. I'm probably going to make that same mistake again by going after this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. This is one of the teams that I will stream quarterbacks against and wide receivers against and tight ends against every single week. You're not going to hit every week. I'm fine with my plays of Matt Ryan this week. I'm fine with my plays of Julio Jones this week or Calvin Ridley. For me, it comes down to volume, matchup, talent, skill set, everything else. This one, obviously a miss, but it's not a process miss. It's a results miss. So as far as I'm concerned, this is definitely something that I'm going to do again. I'm going to keep challenging this Tampa Bay team through the air, because that's how you beat them. And if it changes for a week or two more, then I'll probably make that mistake a week or two more. If they're a totally different team than what we've seen from them through the first 11 weeks, then fine. But that's a mistake for me. Carson Wentz was somebody that I was way higher on earlier in the week than I was later in the week, as they kept losing quality pieces on the outside, with Nelson Aguilar missing the game, with Alshon Jeffrey missing this game. And their only guys that he could throw to were basically Wentz could only throw to Ertz or to Dallas Goedert. And in those situations, the upside is kind of capped. So we spoke on the Anti-Tinkercast 45 minutes before lock on Sunday that I was really taking down my Wentz ownership. I was really taking down any ownership in this offense outside of the 2 tight ends, because they were definitely going to see a ton of volume. So for me, that was the direction that I went. Obviously a miss here as well, as he only put up 256 yards and 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles, 12.94 DraftKings points, completed 33 passes, but like for only 256 yards. So all of those were just dink and dunk attempts to the running backs and to the tight ends, and to the wide receivers, who really can't break down the field and can't make anything happen. So that just kind of is what it is. It's a miss, but like, it's one that if we were paying attention, and hopefully you were, and you were there for the Anti-Tinkercast, you dialed back all of your ownership stuff. Jameis Winston, he definitely connected in this game. 29.32 DraftKings points, 18 of 28 for 313, 3 touchdowns, still had 2 picks because he's Jameis, but a big hit there, and hopefully you paired him with the right wide receiver. Baker Mayfield, another big hit here, 327 yards, 24 of 34, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick for 27.58. Christian McCaffrey, he's good. Just play him. Sometimes it's just that simple. 22 carries, 64 yards, 1 touchdown, 9 catches on 9 targets, 69 yards, and 1 touchdown, 34.9 DraftKings points. Nobody is good a fantasy player as Christian McCaffrey, and the analysis that you need for him is basically just play him because he's that much better than anybody else. He's 10 to 20% better on average points per game than the second best running back or second highest scoring player in fantasy football this year. He's an absolute machine. Leonard Fournette is not the Leonard Fournette of old, and it was not priced up to a point where we had to avoid him. 33 touches for Leonard Fournette. I'm the type of player that wants to jam as many running back touches as I can get into my lineup, and if you tell me that I can get 70 out of my 2 running backs in my flex, I'm going to be just fine. But he got 33 to be exact, in a losing case. Did not break the 100-yard bonus. 24 for 97 and 2 touchdowns. We saw some regression towards the mean for him with the usage that he gets inside the red zone and inside the 5-yard line. 9 catches on 12 targets as they were chasing from behind for 62 yards. 36.9 DraftKings points. Hopefully you had him in your lineups. Derrick Henry, same thing. Hopefully you had him in your lineups. 19 carries, 159, 2 touchdowns, only caught 1 ball on 1 target, 32.5 DraftKings points. Le'Veon Bell, 6,400 against the Oakland Raiders, who have been trending the wrong direction against opposing backs. Had over 100 scrimmage yards, 12 carries for 49 yards, no touchdowns. He was mostly used as a decoy once they got inside the 5-yard line, and there were multiple times that they got inside the 5-yard line. I think we got a little bit unlucky that we didn't get a touchdown from him. He fell twice on the 1-yard line this week. 5 catches on 5 targets, 59 yards, 15.8 DraftKings points. He was fine. Bo Scarborough, for me, was the best of a bad situation with me hating every single running back between 4K and 6K this week. I wanted to pay up at running back to make sure that I got the volume. Bo Scarborough did have 18 carries for 98 yards, no touchdowns, did have a fumble, 8.8 DraftKings points. If you're going to roster Bo Scarborough moving forward and try and eke out some value, look at him this way. Bo Scarborough is essentially LeGarrette Blount. So if you think that Detroit is going to be playing from ahead and is going to have multiple opportunities inside the 5, Bo Scarborough is your man. If you think they're going to be playing from behind, you're not going to play Bo Scarborough because that's essentially who he is right now. If they're playing with a lead and in the second half, Bo Scarborough is going to have a lot of carries. He's going to dominate all their inside the 5 touches. But other than that, he's just not somebody that I want to hang my hat on. But if he's too cheap on a week where we're starved for value like we were in week 12, fine, hold your nose and just play Bo Scarborough. Michael Thomas is approaching Christian McCaffrey territory at wide receiver. He had what seemingly was a bad game all game and ended up with 29.1 DraftKings points, 10 catches, 11 targets with 101 yards and a touchdown. He did catch that 20-yard catch to give him the bonus. It was a really big catch at the end of the game to put them in position to win that game. It also gave him the bonus. So a massive catch there for him. He's just good. Again, you should be playing him more. Calvin Ridley, 6 catches on 14 targets. We talked about how inefficient Matt Ryan was, completing about half of his passes yesterday. Calvin Ridley was the best wide receiver on that team. Not per dollar. That would go to Russ Gage, who experienced some flop lag. 85 yards and a touchdown, 22 DraftKings points. I'll take that. Josh Gordon, again, somebody that we were off of later in the week because of the fact that Tyler Lockett was no longer dealing with that injury. Hopefully you got off of him. We spoke about how I got off of him on the Anti-Tinkercast. He was a tournament-only play for me and a dart throw at best by the time Sunday morning rolled around. So hopefully you got off there. Mike Evans, I flipped the coin and I came up wrong with which Buccaneers wide receiver I picked. I'll take the L here with Mike Evans. Only 9 points, 4 targets for 4 catches on 8 targets for 50 yards and no touchdown. Obviously, Godwin, in retrospect, was the one that you wanted to play. If you're building lineups and you're using Jameis Winston as your quarterback, I don't think that you can play both Evans and Godwin in them the majority of the time. He tends to lock onto one guy and not spread it around. He finds where he can go and he goes to that guy repeatedly. It's why he has a problem with interceptions, because he kind of has tunnel vision. Yesterday he had tunnel vision for Godwin and not Evans. Demaryius Thomas had a touchdown called back on review for a pick play. 4.2 DraftKings points, somebody that we wanted to just try and maybe get a touchdown up to squeeze some value out here. They had multiple opportunities inside the red zone. I think we got a little bit unlucky that touchdown got called back, but the volume wasn't great either. 2 catches on 3 targets, would have been 3 for 4 for 22 yards. No touchdowns, 4.2 DraftKings points. So a miss, but at least he got that end zone target. It just got called back. So not a massive miss, I guess. None of the value wide receivers were great this week that were of any sort of ownership. It was everybody was a dart throw, and a couple of them came through and most of them didn't. Zach Ertz, 6K, was most certainly a hit. 12 catches on 14 targets, 91 yards and a touchdown. As I've said multiple times, a quarterback can have a bad game and their pass catchers can have a really great game, especially in full PPR. 27.1 DraftKings points for Zach Ertz. Vance McDonald was like a top 5 tight end this week on routes per dropbacks, a stat that I pay very much attention to with tight ends. 26 routes run on 31 dropbacks. Tight ends, you don't always care just about targets. Targets are very important, but you can't get a target if you're blocking. They did not use Vance McDonald to block. He was out in the route 26 times yesterday, got 1 target. Very heavily owned, very highly owned, massive drop off in terms of his volume yesterday. What are you going to do? It's just a bad offense and a bad team right now with no consistent play at quarterback and injuries all over their pass catcher group. Disappointing that Vance McDonald had 1 target. I'll take the L here, but it just kind of is what it is. Dallas Goedert, 8 targets, caught 6 of them, 32 yards, 9.2 DraftKings points, fine for 3.7K. 32 yards on 7 catches is kind of laughable, though. We're going to need him to get a little bit more down the field, but that's just the nature of Philly's offense right now. Nobody is moving anywhere. Everything is just thrown to the flat. They're not challenging down the field at all, as Wentz is kind of a shadow of what he used to be. Falcons defense, 5 points. Lions defense, 8 points. Denver defense, 4 points. And that concludes Best Buys for the week. Looking at the lineup that I played in the 4-man, I have kind of skipped out on playing cash games the last few weeks, and I'm focusing more on building tournament lineups. Because I think that that's where the profitability is down the stretch right now. So Matt Ryan ended up as my quarterback and kind of tanked the entire lineup. I could not get comfortable with the lineup. I hated week 12. I could not get comfortable all morning on a lineup. And for the majority of the morning, the majority of the week, I was on Carson Wentz. I came off Carson Wentz and went to, who did I go to? I went to Baker at quarterback. Could not get where I wanted to go with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. I was kind of okay with it, but I felt like I was missing something here or there. Tried to escape. Let me see if I can get up to Michael Thomas. Let me pay down, or if I can get up to Christian McCaffrey, and I couldn't. Let me pay down to try and get Fitzmagic. Didn't like my lineup with Fitzmagic either. Said, okay, I can make a lineup with Matt Ryan that kind of works and is something that I like, but it didn't work out. Matt Ryan, that lineup only had 125 points, obviously. Dracole 33 won the 4-man contest, and it was just a low scoring week all around. Matt Ryan with 9.64, obvious miss there. Le'Veon Bell was fine. Philip Lindsay was my pivot off of Miles Sanders because I just didn't want Miles Sanders. I don't think that he had as much upside as somebody like Philip Lindsay, even in a tough matchup. Obviously I was wrong, but I was fine differentiating there because this was kind of a single entry tournament lineup for me. Odell Beckham, N'Keal Harry caught a touchdown, didn't do much else here. He was somebody who popped late in the week because kind of an X-factor play. Only had 4 targets, caught 1 ball in a rainy game at Foxborough. With everybody else injured for the Patriots, he became my favored sub 3,500 guy at wide receiver. Obviously didn't do much, but didn't kill me if he had 8 points. I got lucky that he caught a touchdown. Julio Jones was a massive bust. I was trying to get from Julio up to Michael Thomas, and I just couldn't make it work in a good enough way. Dallas Goedert, 9.2 points. We talked about him. Leonard Fournette absolutely smashed. Paid way down to get the Bengals defense, and they did fine. 6 points. Defense didn't really hurt you unless you had Washington, who had the really big day. I had a pretty good day, and the Millionaire Maker was profitable, and the Millionaire Maker was profitable in the slant as well yesterday, so a good tournament day. This was my best tournament lineup of the day. Baker Mayfield, Kalen Ballage, bleh. I limited the hell out of Kalen Ballage to like 4% ownership of Kalen Ballage, and he still ended up in this lineup, so unlucky here that I didn't just X him out completely. Derrick Henry, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Calvin Ridley, Mike Gesicki, Chris Godwin. So the bring back and then the double bring back. We spoke about this last week with CSU Ram after we recorded the head-to-head, the video of saying, okay, let's build some lineups that have the quarterback, a double stack, a bring back play with Gesicki, and then the rest of the lineup, the 1v1, was 2 players where it's a mini game stack with Ridley and Godwin from the same game. Broncos defense didn't do much. Kalen Village was what kind of sunk this lineup here. But as I said, profitable overall in the Millionaire Maker and profitable overall in the slant for me in week 12. This is the cage match for people saying, when do you give the results for the cage match? Right here on this recap show. I scored 152, CSU Ram 116, so $250 being donated from Peter to No Kid Hungry. And if you guys want to, donate to No Kid Hungry as well, just Google No Kid Hungry. They have a real quick, easy link for a donation page if you want to help out kids that are suffering from hunger, to gift them school breakfast and school lunch in this holiday season coming up on Thanksgiving. If you want to do something nice, every $1, every $5, every $10 makes a difference. So just Google up No Kid Hungry. I'll put a link for it down below in the description if you wanted to donate as well. So that's going to do it for the recap. That's week 12. Thankfully, it was a survive and advance week for me. I'm looking forward to more brighter days with the Thanksgiving slate and the main slate for week 13. Week 12 was very, very difficult. Hopefully we get more value moving forward and things can be a little bit more straightforward, at least as far as I'm concerned, because those are usually the weeks that I do the best. I hope that you guys had a good week. Tell me how you did in the replies, and I'll catch up to you later. Bye.
He's a legend.